to the cloud. There we go. I don't think it was, so I'm glad I did that. So that's for anybody who has basically registered, but for whatever reason has not been able to make it, or for you guys, if you want to go over anything, or you want to show it to your colleagues, then feel free to do so. I'll send you a copy of the webinar when it's sort of published, which should be sort of later today. So again, thank you ever so much for being here. I really appreciate your time. My commitment today is to make sure that you get the best result out of your time in being here. I want to be very clear, although this is sort of titled, you know, how to use prudent marketing, what it's not is a sales pitch. I will at the end in 5 minutes just go through how I might be able to help you more, but this is not about how to use the Prudent Marketing Company. It's about how to be more prudent with your marketing, which is something every business, in my opinion, needs to do, because it's very easy to waste money on marketing, isn't it? And I know I've wasted probably more than everybody else in the room, because I've done so much sort of marketing. So I do understand that, and I've developed a system which I'm going to show you about and give you an introduction to, which is my prudent marketing system. But again, that's not that you have to do prudent marketing with us. It might be nice, you might want to have a conversation about that at some point, but this is a system that you can use yourself in your business to help your business to become more effective. I hope that makes sense. So as I say, any questions that you've got, feel free to ask them at any time. I'll try and stop at the appropriate time to answer the question. If it's like a big question, I might save it to the end. So there we go. So let's go through a couple of slides if we could. I love this saying by Walt Disney: observe the masses and do the opposite. And if you looked at that from a marketing perspective, if you look at what most businesses achieve in their marketing, you pretty much know the answer, and it ain't great. The picture isn't good. I was yesterday I was running a webinar, part of a 6-week webinar for people on how to use LinkedIn, and we had a whole load of people on it, and I asked them 4 questions before they went on to the webinar. So the day before, they got an email with 4 questions. The first one was, do you win business on LinkedIn? The second one was, what do you do on a daily basis on LinkedIn? The third one was, what are you hoping to achieve from this? And the fourth one was, how big is your current LinkedIn database? And pretty much universally, people said they don't win any business on LinkedIn, really. They don't do anything on LinkedIn, which may be something to do with the former. They want to win lots of business on LinkedIn, but their database was on average about probably 200 people. And so, if you observe the masses on LinkedIn, if you do what most people do on LinkedIn, what rewards do you get? And the answer is none, probably, or very little, maybe. And that's the same, I think, right across the marketing perspective. So, if you've got a website and you do what most businesses do, they have a website, but they don't actually do anything, A, to drive traffic to the website, and B, to improve the conversion rate of that website, because they're the 2 most important things about your website and my website. Not how great it looks and how nice it is designed. And if anybody's out there thinking, well, our website's not about creating leads, it's a brochure site, then if you ask me, that's BS. To be absolutely honest with you, you've spent a load of time, money, and effort getting this website online. Why would you not want to win business from it? Why would you not want to drive traffic to it, to get people to look at it, to get a great impression of your business, and hopefully pick up the phone or email you saying, let's meet, or I want to buy your stuff? Why would you not want to do that? Why would you not want to make sure that everybody who comes to your website, converts into a lead. And I know you're never going to get everybody to do that, but let's say more than you're getting right now. If you're getting 1,000 people to your website right now, and you're converting 1% of them, which by the way is the world's average, then my question is, how could you do more? How could you improve that? What could you do to increase and improve your conversion rate optimization? I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. Let's just take for now what Walt says, and that is, if you do the same marketing as everybody else in your industry, you're going to get the same results. And so if you do the same marketing as you've always done, you're probably not even going to get the same results. The world of marketing's changed. I've been doing this for, over 28 years helping small businesses. And boy, has the world of marketing changed in that time. Years ago, it was, go and buy the biggest Yellow Pages advert you can afford and send out loads of direct mail. My advice was, it was a little bit more than that, but, it wasn't as complicated or as complex as it is now. I heard, by the way, the other day that Yellow Pages have just announced that they're just about to go ahead producing their last ever book. It's going to be published in January 2019, and it's in the Brighton area. That's going to be their last ever book. They're totally getting rid of the Yellow Pages book, and boy, is that a change in the world, really. So I'm here and hoping that I'm going to influence you to take action to what I call raise your game. Raise your marketing game. It's all about how could you do better than you're doing now. Now, wherever you are now, if I asked you to rate yourself and your business on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being absolutely awful at marketing, 10 being I couldn't be any better, where would you rate yourself? Where would you put yourself right now? And this might be a good little exercise for you to do when you sit down with your team next, or even on your own, and look at each element of your marketing. Where would you rate your website from a scale of 1 to 10? Now, clear, I'm not talking about how pretty it is or how nice it looks. All I'm interested in lead generation. How good is it on a scale of 1 to 10 at generating leads? What about your email marketing? What about your events that you go to? What about your social media, your LinkedIn? On a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at that? Because once you know that, you can then start to think, right, okay, what do I need to do in order to improve the effectiveness of it? Let me give you an example. Let's say you rated your LinkedIn as a 3. You've been doing some LinkedIn, you occasionally post, you connect to a few people, your profile looks okay, and you're in a couple of groups, but you don't do very much, and you're not winning very much business. Well, clearly there's a load of things that you can do in order to improve the performance of that. The first key, I suppose, is getting to know what to do. And whilst I can't, go through everything that, I run a day's workshop on LinkedIn, or you could join the webinar if you want. The serious point being, you need to know what to do. And then step 2 is about implementation. A lot of people know what to do, but they don't actually implement. They're what I call FTI. They fail to implement. That, by the way, is probably the biggest mistake that I see with small businesses. They fail to implement. They don't actually implement. And if they do implement, they only implement when they're desperate. So, they sometimes come to me and they say, oh, I just lost a big client. Things are really tough. I really need to take my business to the next level. So we start off helping them, working with them. They grow their business, and then they get so busy that they can't do their marketing anymore. And so some of them say, well, it's been great, Steve, but, I just don't have time for this anymore. And so they switch off their marketing button, and all of a sudden leads stop coming in, and it sort of fades back down, and in 6 months, they're back where they started. I don't know whether that rings any bells with anybody on the webinar, but it certainly does with me, based on 28 years of working with thousands of businesses in hundreds of industries over that period of time. So let's have a look at the next slide. So I'm going to go through what I call the 7 skills of prudent marketing with you. So this is what we use when we market ourselves. This is what we use when we work with businesses, when I provide advice. You know, I work with businesses either on a one-to-one basis or as part of a group. We basically do 3 things. We provide advice, we provide training, and we provide what we call a done-for-you service. So you can outsource the marketing to us, and it's based around these 7 skills. So skill number 1 is all about position. Yeah, what and how are you positioned in the market? What's your positioning? You know, what does your position like? What would you like your position to be? So, what do you think of your positioning in the market? You know, does your positioning really reflect where you want it to be? I'll give you an example. I work with a firm of solicitors who said that they were Maidenhead's leading firm of solicitors, and that's their positioning. They're the best. They're the top. They're the real top company. And I'm sure they were. They, you know, when I met them, it's very professional, you know, lovely office and so on and so forth. But if you looked at their website, you think it was somebody who was working out of their back bedroom instead of a professional law firm. Their positioning, their statement was there, but things didn't really match up. You know, I see this happen so often when people say I'm a lead in this or we're the best in that and so on and so forth. And then they've got some, you know, rubbish, thin, awful, dirty old business card, and they pull out a, you know, a brochure or something, or they send an email and it's, you know, it's just not really done very professionally, and so on and so forth. So this is all about, you know, again, you know, I could spend all day talking to you about your niche or your brand or, you know, any element here. But you know, these are the things that you need to think about: your position, your niche, your brand, your branding, becoming a recognized expert in your niche. That's something I'm a big fan of. There's a great book by a guy called Daniel Priestley called How to Become a Key Person of Influence. And it also translates to How to Become a Key Business of Influence. I strongly recommend, if you've not read that book, that you read that book. Just go and buy it on Amazon. I'm not on commission here. It's just a great book that I thought I'd recommend to you. So becoming a recognized expert in your little world, your market. So if I was a landscape gardener in Basingstoke, for example, I'd want to be the recognized expert on landscape gardening. So I'd have written articles that I've uploaded to LinkedIn. I'd have provided tip sheets. I'd have done videos on how to grow the best grass or whatever expertise you need as a landscape gardener. You can tell I know a lot about landscape gardening, can't you? And lastly there, your budget. And these days, a budget is an interesting thing because it's not necessarily a monetary budget, although certainly we should be investing some money in marketing. But often it's a time budget. How much time are you going to spend? You know, people asked me yesterday, how much time should I be spending on LinkedIn? And I said, well, it depends what you want. You know, are you aiming to win 50 million or 50,000? Because if it's 50 million, you might want to put more effort in, or you might need to put more effort in. So it depends really on what that is. But you need to think about how much time and effort are you going to put in to your marketing. I hope that makes sense. And it might be that, you know, you don't have the skills, you don't have the time, so you outsource it to a company like us or whoever, but you get somebody else to do the work. The important thing, I think, as a business owner is that you do the work that you're good at and let somebody else do the work that you're not so good at, or you don't like doing, or, you know, you just don't have time to do. So think about your budget. As far as, excuse me, just get a drink. As far as your financial budget's concerned, my belief is, you know, if I gave you, sorry, if you gave me £1 and I turned that into £10, how often would you like to do that deal? So in other words, if you gave LinkedIn £1 for advertising, and every time you did that, that turned into £10, how often would you want to do that? Well, for me, that would be all day, every day. Why wouldn't you? You know, if you gave them £1 million, spent £1 million on LinkedIn advertising, and that produced £10 million worth of business, assuming your profit's more than 10%, you know, that's a no-brainer, isn't it? The problem being with that is that you don't know whether the £1 million is going to create a £10 million investment. And so the key to this is to measure your marketing. You know, you cannot manage what you do not measure. And, you know, in the 1,000 businesses that I've worked with, and it could be 2,000, I can't quite remember over those years, but I've worked with many, many businesses, or I've come on my workshops and so on and so forth. I've gone on and on and on, been on webinars like this about measuring your marketing. And yet I see most businesses don't have a clue. You know, can you tell me how many people go to your website? How many people went to your website in August? You know, what was the conversion rate? What's your email open rate? How many people are you connected to on LinkedIn? How many people are in your database? How many networking events do you need to go to in order to create a lead? You know, if networking is a key part of your marketing, how many do you need to go to create a lead? What are your marketing numbers? We then say, right, okay, we've got this many leads. What's the conversion rate there? You know, how many leads do you need to get a meeting? How many meetings do you need to get a proposal? And how many proposals do you need to get a sale? What's your average unit of sale? How much is a sale worth over the lifetime of the customer? Is your business a one-shot sale, or is it about repeat business and keeping people coming back again and again and again? I'm sure you've heard the famous Jay Abraham story about this. You know, there's 3 ways to grow a business. Number 1 is to get more customers in the door. Number 2 is to increase the average transaction value. And number 3 is to increase the frequency of repurchase. And yet most businesses, most of the time, spend most of their marketing time, money, and effort trying to get new customers, when the biggest opportunity is often, how do we get current customers to come back more often, to buy different products, to buy more expensive products, to buy packages of products, to commit on an ongoing basis? And how can we get them to buy more each time they visit? So from a supermarket metaphor, I've got to get more people in the door. I've got to get them to fill their basket more, or I've got to get them to buy more expensive products each time they visit me, and I've got to get them to come back more often to me. And I've been saying this, I've been preaching this, I learned it from Jay many years ago, and a few years ago I was up in Cumbria, and I was talking about this, and this guy put his hand up and he said, this doesn't apply to me. And I thought, I'm going to show him how it does. And I said, well, what do you do? He said, I'm a funeral director. He said the thought of getting people coming back more often is a little bit scary. So but I said to him, look, you know, the guy in the coffin is not the customer, it's the other people. But anyway, so position, think about your position. Number 2 is results. What are your current sales and marketing results? We spoke about that a few minutes ago. Now, you know, if you look at your KPIs, your key performance indicators as far as marketing is concerned, what are they? What are your targets? How many leads do you need per month? What are you getting right now? What's the difference between the two? Think about your conversion rates. You know, what's your, you know, when you get 10 leads, how many clients does that equal? Is that good enough? You know, if you're, shall I tell you what, one of the quickest and easiest ways of growing your business is to improve your conversion rate. You know, become better at selling. Now, I'm telling you this as a marketing person. Let me just demonstrate this to you. You get 10 leads. Let's say in September, you get 10 leads this month, and you convert 4 of those, 40% conversion rate, into sales. You think, that's good. I've done as well as I did in August, June, July, and so on and so forth. But then you actually do something based on what I'm about to tell you, and you become more effective at selling. And you do that, let's say, from October onwards, and you improve your conversion rates by 20%. You get a 20% improvement. So that goes from 40% up to 60%, 20% more or better conversion rate. What does that mean to your business? Over time, that means a 50% growth in your company. You with me? I know it's a little bit of a play on numbers there, but that's true. Instead of getting 4, you're getting 6, which is 50% more than 4. So if you could do that, if you could look at your sales system, for example, if you've got one, and if you haven't, again, I strongly recommend you do. And if you've got one, it should be better. You need to look at how can you improve your sales system. You know, what happens when somebody inquires? What happens then? After that, what happens? After that, what happens? How do you follow up then? When that's happened, when you've met them, what happens after the meeting? What happens after that? And how do you go back to them to get more business from referral? How do you cross-sell them? What do you do? How do you close them? What happens if they say, I'll think about it? What happens if they say, well, I need to speak to my wife or my partner or my, you know, what happens if they say, well, it's not in the budget right now? Do you have a system for dealing with all that? Well, if you don't, but you did, you could possibly get your conversion rate up by 10, 20, 30, 40%. Who knows? My conversion rate, by the way, is about 70%, which is way above most people. And I'm not being big-headed here. I'm just saying that, you know, if you have a system in place, you can become more effective at converting leads into sales. So to finish this bit off, start thinking about your results, your sales and marketing numbers. You know, how can you improve your numbers? And start by assessing and measuring what your actual numbers are. Because if you don't know what your numbers are, then, you know, how do you know if you're improving them? So the first thing you need to think about here is measuring your numbers, and keep it simple. You know, what you don't want to do is start measuring, you know, 50 different things, you know, measuring your, you know, the number of people who do the, you know, micro measuring. Keep it simple. Let's measure 6 things to start with. Let's keep it simple. How many leads come in, where they come from, what's your meeting conversion rate, and maybe 2 or 3 others. You know, how much business do you win from referral each month, and what sort of system have you got in your business to improve that? And by the way, just to remind you, if you've got any questions, feel free to use the question section to ask me any questions. I haven't had any come through yet, so just a reminder there. Skill number 3 is understanding. So once you understand your numbers, the next step is to improve them. Now, again, I'd love to be able to spend, you know, how far are we? We're about halfway through now. I'd love to be able to spend the next, whatever, you know, hours and hours and hours talking about each element of your business and your marketing and how you can improve it. But what I'm going to do, because I haven't got time to do that today, I'm going to talk to you about probably the most underrated and yet high-performing element of your marketing. Now, I consider myself to be very much at the forefront of modern marketing. I love technology. You know, we use it right through our business, from CRM systems like Infusionsoft. We use remarketing, if you've heard of that. That's a process of where somebody comes to our website, and then all of a sudden they start seeing our advertising everywhere. So we use it, lots of technology like that. But if you ask me, you know, deep down, what is the best form of marketing, Steve, on the planet? I'd say without a doubt, it's all about referral. Referral marketing, in other words, word of mouth, is still the best form of marketing. Now, I want to be really clear here. That doesn't mean that you don't do other marketing, because I see people very proudly tell me, well, we don't do any marketing, Steve. We win all our business from referral. And I say, well, I'm sorry to hear that. I said, what do you mean? They said, we've got a good reputation and, you know, we're very good at what we do. I said, well, that's great. What we need to look at is how you can get more business from referral. But if you're just relying on referral, then what about all the other ways you could be winning business? You're actually losing out on the amount of business that you could be generating. And so, you know, that to me is not a great way of running a business. But anyway, I'm going to talk to you about referral. What is or are your referral marketing systems? How do you win business from referral? Now, if you're like most businesses, you win business by referral by doing a really good job. You're good at what you do, and you hope that people will recommend you. You just, you know, hope that they will recommend you. Or perhaps, maybe, occasionally, sometimes, you ask them for a referral and you say something like, oh, you know, thank you very much, and we're really pleased that you valued our service. I was wondering whether you knew anybody else who'd be interested in our service. And the standard answer to that is, not really at the moment, but if I do, I'll let you know. You know, has that ever happened to you? I'm assuming it might have, because it happens to most of the businesses that I speak to. So we need to do better. We've got to become better at the way we ask for a referral. We've got to become better at asking for a referral, and whether that's via email, whether that's on LinkedIn, whether that's in person, whether it's on the phone, we need to have a specific way of winning more business from referral. In fact, actually, that's not true. We need probably 3 or 4 specific ways of winning business from referral. And the one thing I will tell you is what I'm about to tell you here could improve your business by, I think, probably 20% up to maybe 100%. This one particular strategy that I'm just about to tell you about. Okay, here we go. All right, let me just adjust my camera. It's sort of moved, I think. So there we go. All right, okay. So the strategy is this. What is the best chance of you winning business from referral? What is your target market? Who's the most likely people to recommend you? For many businesses, that is their current clients. Will that be true with your business? If it's not, you know, select another group. Go and find maybe it's past clients. Maybe it's your contacts on LinkedIn. Maybe it's your, I don't know, your friends and family. Or maybe it's your accountant or your suppliers. Maybe you get lots of business there. But I'm going to talk about your current clients. So I'm going to assume that you've got 100 clients, just so I can use percentages. So it doesn't matter whether you've got 10 or 1,000 really, though it might do to you. But let's just use 100 clients. And what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to phone or meet with 10 clients per month over the next 10 months. Okay? Now that phone call is going to be what I call a customer service call. Okay, so you're going to go, oh, hi, Steve Mills from the Prudent Marketer. I'm calling as part of our customer service just to make sure that you're 100% happy with everything that we're doing, and so on and so forth. So you have this conversation. And assuming that conversation goes well, and it's not that, no, I'm not very happy because of this, this, and this. Assuming the conversation goes well, that is a good opportunity then to ask for a referral. And by the way, if it doesn't go well, that is an even better opportunity to try and turn this client round, because the old saying is, you know, most clients don't complain, they just don't come back. You know, I have a horrible meal in a restaurant. Unless it's really bad, I'm probably not going to complain. I just go, I'm never going to go there again. And they've lost me for life. And I'll probably tell everybody else about that. But anyway, coming back on track to the referrals. So they say, oh, it's absolutely fantastic, Steve. You've done a great job for us. You know, we've doubled our income in the last 10 months and, you know, everything's fantastic. You know, I can't thank you enough. If you get that type of response, let's just say a very positive response, there's a golden opportunity to ask for a referral. So the question is, what are you going to say? The worst thing is probably, I don't suppose you know anybody who'd be interested in what we do, do you? The standard one is, as I've already mentioned, oh, I was wondering if you knew anybody who'd be interested in what we do. Let me show you or tell you what I say. So I say, well, thank you ever so much for your feedback. I'm over the moon that you're so pleased with what we've done. Tell me, how long have you been in business now? And they say something like, hopefully, you know, 10 years. Oh, wow, 10 years. So in that time, you must have met lots of people. People like you got customers, you got suppliers, maybe people you go networking with, maybe people you're connected to on LinkedIn. Would that be the case? And they say, yeah, pretty much, yeah, I've got lots of contacts. Okay, so I was wondering whether you could do us a really big favor. Would that be possible? What are they going to say? You know, 99% of people say, yeah, sure, if I can. Okay, so I was wondering whether you could think, I don't know, perhaps of three or four people that we could help in the same way that we have you. Now, out of everybody that you're thinking of, who would be the top 4 people that you think we could help? Could you do that? Well, yeah, sure, if I can, Steve. Let me just have a second. And they list out the people. And you say, thank you ever so much. I really appreciate that. One final thing. Would it be okay to use your name when I contact them? And they you know, pretty much say yes. But that gives you the door opener. They're getting past the rejectionist, or the receptionist, as they're sometimes called. You know, what's this call about? Oh, well, Fred Bloggs has asked me to give him a call. All right, I'll put you through. Yeah, so it gives you a better chance. It's not 100%, but at least it'll give you a better chance. Now, let's assume that you make 10 calls per month, and let's assume that you get a conversion rate of, I'm going to be really positive here and say that you get 1 referral from every call on average. Now, some of them might give you 4, some of them might give you 2, some of them might give you none. But let's just say on average, you get, you make 10 calls, you get 10 referrals. Referrals tend to convert quite high because they're personal recommendation. So let's say you convert 50% of those into business. What have you just done? You've just grown your business by 50% without any cost, without any real effort other than, you know, 1 call every 2 days. And you've just grown your business by 50%. And you may say, well, you know, I'm never going to get that, Steve. What happens if you made 10 calls and you only got 4 referrals and you converted 2 of them? That's a 20, you know, would anybody like a 20% increase in the size of their business by making 1 call every 2 days? Would you think that's a good use of your time? It certainly could be. So I really hope here I'm just demonstrating how you can take something that is working right now and improve the effectiveness of it. Now, I've shown you one way how you can win business by referral. There are many ways of winning business by referral. What about incentivizing people? We have a system where if somebody recommends us, we donate £100 in their name to cancer research. Keith, who's actually on the webinar, recommended us to a client of his. We're doing their marketing for them. We've been doing their marketing for quite some time. And Keith will know because he got a certificate from Cancer Research saying that we donated £100 in their name, and so we do that, and that's another way of is Keith more likely that he might recommend us again? I sincerely hope so, Keith. So what about your website? Could you do the same thing for your website? What about your email? Could you do that? If you're doing pay-per-click advertising, could you improve the effectiveness of that? If you're doing SEO, search engine optimization, is it perfect? Could that be improved? Well, that's really what this is all about. It's about, once you know the numbers, it's about improving the numbers. Step 4, or skill 4, is about the development of new marketing streams. So if you're building a business right now based on referral, repeat business, you've got a website, you're doing email marketing, and you're doing LinkedIn, then there's loads of things that you're not doing that if you did could also win your business. Would you accept that? I'm hallucinating that you've said yes. So the question is, what can you do that you're not doing that could create business? Well, I've already mentioned several things that I'd be fairly sure you're not doing. You're probably not using remarketing because a lot of business people don't even know that exists yet. You may not be using LinkedIn properly. You may say, well, I'm not really into Facebook. I hear that a lot. Well, a lot of people say to me, well, I understand LinkedIn, but I'm not into Facebook, Steve. I don't do Facebook. Do you know what? The day I retire from business will be the day I close my Facebook down. I have no interest in social media. I have a lot of interest in social media marketing because Facebook is brilliant for growing a business. And people say, well, it's more B2C, isn't it? In other words, business to consumer. No, no, no. It's business to business as well. And, it's just a matter of finding the right people and connecting to them. So, we need to think about that development of new different marketing streams. If you're not doing something, if you're not running webinars and you started to run webinars, the reason I'm here, the reason I'm sharing my expertise here is that I'm hoping to win business. I'm spending an hour with you guys and hopefully demonstrating my skills and experience and getting people at the end of the day to know me, like me, and trust me. That's essentially what I'm trying to do today. In order that, maybe a couple of you, or a few of you, hopefully, will come back to me and say, look, Steve, I really need your help. I think you can really help me. And that's why I'm doing webinars. So would that work for you? Depending on your industry, it may or may not do. And depending on how good you are at doing webinars, it may or may not do too. But it's certainly, potentially an income stream for you by doing webinars and getting people, what about video? Video is incredibly powerful as a medium. YouTube exploded, didn't it? Have you got video on your website? If you haven't and you did, that could massively increase your conversion rate. So if you go to my website, you'll see videos all over my website. I'm a massive believer in the power of video, okay? I've already mentioned the development of an improved sales system. Most businesses I speak to don't have one. And by the way, if it's not written down, you don't have one. If it's in your head and you just make it up, you don't have one. If you don't have a written agenda that you share with people when they come in for a meeting, then you don't have one. If you just wing you got a new client meeting and you just make it up as you go along and see how the conversation goes, then you don't have a really good sales system. Because if you don't have an answer to, I'm going to think about it, or I'm getting 3 quotes. When somebody says to you, I'm going to get 3 quotes, what do you say? If you don't have that, then you're probably not going to close as many people as you would. Okay. Hang on, we got a techie problem here. Oh no, but there we are. So skill number 5 is education. This is all about, your learning, your knowledge. I mentioned, new things that you're not yet doing. And again, on a scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at all those things? Your referral system, how good's that? Joint venture, relationships. Have you got any joint venture relationships? Have you got people out there who you work with that help you with your marketing? I call that creating a sales team of thousands of people. Or I've got actually about 35 people, 35 businesses who are out there helping me, and I help them with my marketing. What about social media? What's your level of knowledge? If you say, well, I don't really understand how to use LinkedIn, that's just not good enough. If you say, well, retargeting, what's that? I don't understand that. How can I use that when I don't even know what it is? That's a problem. Analytics, wow analytics, conversion rate optimization software. There's so many different analytics software. So, for example, we market a product that will tell you the name of the company who have been to your website. It'll give you the name of the company, their website, their address, what industry they're in, and all the information that you need about the company. The only thing it doesn't do is tell you who they are. So what we do is we then go on to link. So I've got the name of a company, ABC Limited. I see they're based in Basingstoke. They've looked at 10 pages on my website. They've been to my website 4 different times. And so I go on to LinkedIn, I type in ABC Limited Basingstoke, and it gives me a list of all the people that work for them in senior management. And I can hazard a guess who it might be that's looked at our website. It could be the managing director, the marketing director, well, any director, to be honest, somebody senior within that company, and then I can just contact them. Now, if you didn't know that sort of technology exists, then, are you missing out? Well, probably, assuming you actually use it. If you don't understand pay-per-click advertising or Google AdWords, are you missing out? Well, almost certainly. Having said that, I will say, particularly with AdWords, it's fairly complex. It's very sophisticated. So don't go doing Google AdWords until and unless you know what you're doing, because it's a great way of throwing cash down the loo. I've actually written a report on Google AdWords. If you want the report, just email me and I'll email you a copy of it. But to be honest, that's the start of your education on pay-per-click advertising. What about banner advertising? Did you know you can go to Google and say, I'd like to advertise on your 2.5 million partner websites, and I only want to pay if it works. You can do that. And if you didn't know that, and now you do, you might want to think about that. But again, you want to make sure that you've got a good understanding of how that works. And it works, by the way, by pay-per-click advertising. Somebody said to me the other day, they were on a seminar, and they said, Steve said, what is this pay-per-click advertising? I said, no, not pay-per-click, pay-per-click. So it's every time somebody clicks on your advert, goes to your website, you pay Google a small amount of money, whether that's for advertising on Google or on these 2.5 million partner sites that Google have got. Skill number 6 is really around keeping up to date. Where are you on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of how up to date you are? I'd say I'm an 8 or a 9. I'm sure there's stuff I don't know. I'm sure there's software out there that's, marketing-based software that I don't fully understand. I've been using, for example, Infusionsoft for many, many years. It's a very sophisticated, very cutting edge, probably the best marketing automation software on the planet. And I'd say I'm a 7 or 8 out of 10 user. I'm pretty good. I'm probably better than most. but there's still a shed load of things on there that I don't fully understand how to use. And so I've got to keep up to date and keep improving my knowledge and getting my my business and my clients' business to the next level. And I do that through having a coach myself, going on seminars. I spend thousands and thousands of pounds every year attending seminars, attending webinars, reading books. I still buy CDs and so on and so forth. I've got loads of cassettes, although I don't actually have a cassette player anymore. I need to go in business producing cassettes and getting them back. Remember those days? But anyway, that's skill number 6. Skill number 7 is making sure that you've got the time to do it. And you know, so many people, as I said, my number one reason, in my opinion, why marketing doesn't work is you know, it just doesn't get done. So you know, you somehow you can't you know, you can't, I don't think, attend a webinar like this, spend time with me, go away and go, well, that was interesting, and you know, that Steve seems a good guy, and then do nothing. Why would you do that? I just don't get that. So, you know, I'm not suggesting you have to work with me. I'm really not. If you want to have a conversation and you want to meet up, then that's fine. But what I really, really hope you do is that you take action as a result of this and start, you know, number 1 is being able to sit down and spend some time working on improving your marketing, or as I like to call it, your lead generation. Step 2 is looking at your lead conversion. Once we've got some leads, we've got to be better at converting those leads into sales. And that's sort of just about it, actually. I mentioned where, you know, if you want to have a conversation with me, we're very happy to provide you with training. We run seminars on many different things, but we do lots of LinkedIn training, internet marketing, run training on Infusionsoft if you want to come along to any of those. I can work with you. So the price of that starts at my association. You can become a member of my Prudent Marketing Association. The cost of that membership is £25. It's less than the cost of a meal. It's monthly, and what you get for that is essentially, it's more of this. It's every week you get me on video talking to you about how to grow your business. But I keep those videos very short. It's about 10 minutes. So it's like a little, you know, I don't know what they call it, a shot in the arm, but a little bit of a few marketing tips to help you with each element of your marketing and how to improve that. So you can do that. You could join my academy, which means you pay a monthly fee. It's £99, and you get to come along to any or all of my marketing events. So the LinkedIn training, Infusionsoft, sales training, webinars, my LinkedIn webinar program, which people pay to come along. You get that as a one-off fee. Or you can join what I call my private practice, which is £295 a month, £295 a month. For that, you get to work as part of a small group. You come into my office for half a day per month, and then I work with you via a Zoom meeting or in person or over the phone on a weekly basis. So we have a weekly call, a weekly meeting, if you will. And I work with you and push you and chastise you and generally beat you up if you don't actually take action. No, I'm only joking, but I am there as a coach to push you beyond you know, what you would possibly do for yourself. So I'm there as your marketing and sales coach to help you to get to the next level. And lastly, it's the for you side, done for you. I've got a small team of people who will do everything from producing you a new website, to writing you copy, to doing your social media for you, to trying to think what else we do, doing your SEO, doing your email marketing, and so on and so forth. So writing PR articles, blogs for you, you name it. So we have a lot of businesses who just don't have the time to do this type of work, and they decide, actually, let's just outsource it to a company, and we're their chosen supplier. So if you want help with that, we'd be very happy to do so. So, you know, if you fancy a chat, drop us a line, and that's literally it as far as my sort of presentation is concerned. I hope you enjoyed it. Just come back to me now. Hope you enjoyed it, and as I said, if you've got any questions you want to ask, feel free to give me a call anytime. My telephone number here is 01256 242 272. If you go to my website, theprudentmarketer.com, there's a load of free videos and content. Go and download my book, The 10 Biggest Lead Generation Mistakes. You can do that on my website too. And just to say thanks ever so much. Anybody got any questions? You've all been very quiet so far. Are you still there? I can see you are, so don't worry. But if you've got any questions for me that you wanted to ask, feel free to do that. Or, as I say, if you'd rather just ask questions away from the webinar, feel free to do that. So I'm taking it that maybe one or two people are writing questions right now. So I'm just going to waffle on for another sort of minute or so. If I don't get any questions, I'm going to call that it. I don't think anything's coming through yet. Oh, one thing I will tell you about. At the end of September, and I can't remember the date, I think it's about the 20th, something like that, I'm running a seminar, sorry, a webinar like this. It's free, you can attend it free, and it's on how to use our social media portal. Now, just to clarify, we've developed something called the social media portal, and what that enables us to do, or enables you to do, is to do all your social media from one place. So it's a huge time saver, and it also enables you to analyze results. So if you're into social media and you want to improve how you're doing your social media, attending this webinar is an absolute, excuse me, an absolute no-brainer. So you really should be there. So that's just about it. Thank you ever so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed the webinar. I hope you got some value from the webinar, but most of all, I hope you do something with what you learn, because knowledge is a waste of time. The application of knowledge is everything. Thanks ever so much for listening.